everybody, welcome back to my channel. This is Kathy at Attic Treasures, etc. And today is actually day 8 of Ephemera 2022, but I'm a little behind, so I'm going to do day 7 and day 8 at the same time on the same project. So for 7 we have a handwritten memory and a loaded tag, and the animal that Barbara and Louisa have chosen is a bear. And then on day 8 we have beads and a postage stamp dangle, and the animal that they have chosen for that is a butterfly. So now this is a collaboration that's hosted by 49 Dragonflies and Louisa Heinzel at Junk Journal Art, and I will link to both Barbara's and Louisa's videos in the description below so that you can get all the info, the introductory info on Ephemera 2022 and what it's all about. So here we go. I have this tag that I started several months ago. I started making it out of the leftovers of a hanging file folder, and my initial thought was to have it be a tag that I could hang over a page like this. So we'll see what I come up with. I'm going to go ahead and cover the other side of it and the inside of it, and then I'm going to take it to my sewing machine and sew around it. For my bear, I'm going to use this little bear from Sleepy Time Tea. And so let's go ahead and get started. On the back here, I'm going to use some glue stick, and only kind of in the center, because if I try to glue too much of it, like all the way to the edge and then sew on it, my sewing machine has a hissy fit. So we're gonna just set this on here, just kind of centered. It doesn't really matter. I just want to be able to have enough to be able to cut around. And there we go. So just gonna cut off the excess here. Alright, so that takes care of the outside. Now I want to, maybe I should trim a little bit off the bottom here. I'm going to take care of the inside here. Okay, I'm going to take it over to my sewing machine now, and I'm going to sew all around, front and back. So I'll be right back. Okay, so I finished sewing around front and back. So what I want to do with this is make it into a notepad. So I'm going to cut some coffee dyed paper down to 3 inches wide by about 5.5. But I'm going to leave it folded at the top. So if you watch all the way to the end, there's shortly before the end, there's a fun tutorial for you that I'm going to incorporate into this project that I think you'll enjoy. So stay tuned. Put that one inside the other. And I'm going to round the corners, my corner chomper, and I'm going to use the 1/2 inch radius side. and I'm going to take it back to the sewing machine, and I'm going to sew right in the crease, and then I will trim these corners out. So I'll be right back. Okay, so all the sewing's done. The pages are attached, and now I'm just going to trim these out. Okay, so far so good. Let's trim these threads. The prompt said loaded pocket. It didn't say what it had to be loaded with. So I'm loading mine with, loaded tag. So I'm loading mine with paper. Okay, and to dress this up a little bit, I want to put a little bit of sari silk here. But if I use Fabri-Tac, it always shows through the sari silk. So instead of doing that, I've got some Fabric Fusion here, Fabric Fusion tape, and I'm going to cut off a little length of it, and then I'm going to cut it in half lengthwise. I might be able to use the whole width of it. The sari silk is as wide as it. I'm going to cut a little bit off the edge. Then all I need to do is trim it. All right, now I want to attach my little bear to the front, and the reason I chose him is because I couldn't find a picture of a real bear that I liked, and I have had to switch from having coffee all day to tea. So it's better for my health, definitely better for my sleep, as much as I hate to admit it, because I just wasn't sleeping very well, and I am sleeping better, so I guess it's tea for me. And he's so cute. It was really hard to get used to having tea first thing in the morning, at least for me. I know there are probably plenty of tea drinkers out there, but I've been a coffee drinker all my life. I love coffee, love it. So it was really hard to give it up. And I haven't totally given it up completely. I do like to have coffee on the weekends, just a couple of cups. But for the most part, it's tea. And I thought this little bear looked cute on here. So we'll turn him into a little tuck spot. So I can put something in there if I want to, and I do want to. Okay, so this is the beginning of the loaded tag, but for prompt number 7, but for prompt number 8, we need a postage stamp dangle and some beads. And I want to still decorate this a little bit. So this is where I wanted to show you how to make a little tea bag flower that I wanted to put right there. And these are pretty fun to make. Okay, so I want to make another one of these. So these are tea bags, or the tea bag envelope that the tea came in. And what you do is, first of all, you want to cut 4 squares of 1 7/8 inches on a side. And then the next thing you do, step number 2, is you cut the squares from corner to corner on the diagonal. And you want to try to be as precise as possible, but you can trim it later. So if it doesn't work out perfectly the first time, you can, there's a way to save it. I'm going to get it as close as possible to the corners. And you do this with all 4 pieces so that you end up with 8 triangles. I used my trimmer to cut the tea bags into the squares. It was the easiest way to make sure that they were all pretty much the same size. As close as I could get anyway. Okay, so now I've got 8 triangles. And I'm going to take each triangle and I'm going to fold, I'm going to put the flat, well, they each have a flat side, but I'm going to put the long flat side down. And I'm going to fold each corner up to the top, to the point of the triangle. I forgot a step. Okay, so step 2, before you do this part, where you fold it like this, first you fold it in half, like that. So I'm going to go and fold all of my triangles that way too, so that they'll have a fold down the center and then these 2 creases as well. Okay, so step 1 after cutting the squares, you cut them in half. And then step 2, you fold it into a triangle. And then step 3 is you fold these up like that. Now step 4 is you turn them over and you bring this crease and this crease to the center, so that it meets right there. Okay, does that make sense? And you can see how mine don't meet straight across, but that's okay, because you can, like I said, there's at the end you can do a little trimming and that's fine. Okay, so I'm going to do all of all of these so that when you turn it over it looks like that. And this paper is a little bit slippery, so it's a little fiddly to work with, because these are real tea bags. You can use any, any kind of thin paper. If you've got origami paper, that works really well, or wrapping paper. Okay, so these met up pretty well. So I'm going to work the rest of these off camera. Okay, so I have everything folded, and here's what it looks like when you're all done folding that part. So you had the triangle, and then you folded these ends into the middle of the triangle on the back. Okay, so now we start gluing it together, and we're going to take the one on the right and put it under the, if I call these little wings, I'm going to put it under the wing on the left. Okay, so I want to add some glue to this side, since it's going to go underneath, and then also to the bottom of the, if you want to call this like a petal. And then I can glue this side down as well. And then the next one, you just keep doing this until you have all of them glued together. So we're going to glue this wing like so. And you see that there's a little bit of overhang right here, but that's the part that we can trim off when we're all done putting it together. And it'll be fine. We'll just pick up the next one. Some tea bag envelopes are so pretty that you know, you can make really pretty patterns with them. And eventually, when you're all done, you end up with a little star or a flower, depending on how you look at it. Then the last one. And then you just attach the last one just like you did the others. It just fits right in there. And now you can see where some of them don't match up perfectly. That's because sometimes these tea bags are hard to cut straight because they're already kind of wrinkled. Like for instance, they get these puckers in them. And so even when you cut it down, the edges that are glued, they still have a little bit of a pucker. So that makes it hard to cut them straight. But what you can do is you just trim off the pieces that are sticking out. That's what I was talking about when I said that you could trim them. Okay, so I am going to attach this one to my tag here, but I also want to have a dangle. So, and I want to have beads. So I'm going to use the, you know, the little, what do you call this? The little tea bag string end thing for my beads and my dangle. So I have some beads here, and I'm going to use my needle threader. Assuming I can see what I'm doing. To thread the beads on. And it's easier than trying to thread the string through by hand without any help for me. Okay, so I have my beads. I'm going to just put this through to the back and figure out how long I want to have it. Well, probably to about there. So I'm just going to tape the string on the back. Let's glue this on to my tag here. I'm going to glue the flower on. Put a little bling in the center. Okay, what better postage stamp to use on a tea-themed tag than one of Queen Elizabeth? She was probably the greatest tea drinker of all time. She had quite the reign, didn't she? 70 years. It's a long time. So I'm just going to attach this little postage stamp right here. And I wanted to make a little journal card out of this butterfly. I was going to use it for the dangle, but it's too big. This particular stamp with the butterfly on it is from Bhutan. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that properly, but it is a country in Southeast Asia, just on the eastern ridge of the Himalayas. I had to look that up because I had no idea. Some paper on the back. Go right behind the little bear. I think that's really cute. Okay, I need a handwritten memory. So how about if I put on the back here, assuming I can write it, Ephemera 2022, days 7 and 8. This is supposed to be an ampersand. Ephemera 2022, days 7 and 8. Okay, stay tuned for tomorrow when we have prompt number 9, collage fodder, and junk mail. So that should be fun. So as soon as I find out what the animal is for that project, then I'll get started on that. So when I went to bed last night and I was thinking about this project here, I was thinking it needs more. I just didn't really love it. So when I woke up this morning, I thought, well, I'll just add a few things. So I added some more beads, and I embossed this stamp and the tea bag dangle on both sides twice to give it more of a dangle look and to make it more shiny. Then I added an eyelet and a little butterfly charm, but still it just didn't seem like enough. So I added some words, dream and renew, and these are also embossed. And I used the Distress Embossing Glaze in weathered wood, and I really liked the way that came out, but still I thought it needed more. So I took some of my eyelash trim and tied it in a knot and glued it here and then tied it around the top of the little bead dangle and added some lace on the bottom. And now I love it. To me, it just has a lot more interest and it's a little less plain. And for my Ephemera journal, it goes with some of the other things where I use this eyelash trim. So, and I also inked around the edges of the pages in Picked Raspberry Distress ink. And I just think it's super cute now. I love it. And I also thought it would be a good idea to show you on a bigger piece of paper how to do the folds for the tea bag flower. So you start out with a square. Okay, pretend that this is still a big square. And you cut it in half on the diagonal. And then you fold it like so. And then you open it back up and you fold these pieces towards the top, like so. Now you've got creases here and here and in the center. So when you turn it over, what you want to do is make this crease even with this crease. And the easiest way I found to do it is to fold it so that this edge is along this crease. So it's straight across the top, and then fold it back so that it meets the crease in the middle. And if I were to highlight this crease so you can see it better, you'll see what I mean. So we already have this crease and this crease. Here, let me highlight those two. Okay, so now we just fold it across so that this edge meets this crease right here, and is straight across, and then we fold it back like that. And if it makes it easier, you can take your ruler. Of course, we're working with smaller pieces of paper than this, but just in case, you have like a flat edge where you can crease it like so. So anyway, what you end up with is both creases meeting in the middle, and you end up with this kind of a shape here. And you end up with 8 of those. So to glue it together, you take 2 pieces. The one on the right is the one that gets the glue, and you just slip it over the one on the left, and then you glue it. You're gluing it. I'll just show you. It's hard to see. I realized it was hard to see what I was doing with the tiny pieces of paper. So you add glue here, and also I was adding glue on this surface as well, so that when you slide it like so, there, like that, and then you just go all the way around with all 8 pieces. And if you need to, when you're done, you can trim off this excess part here so that it doesn't show. So anyway, so I hope that helps. It might make it a little bit easier with this, you know, so you can see it on a bigger piece of paper. So there you have it. We made a little tea bag flower, and I put one here, and I rubbed some gold on it too to give it a little bit more interest as well, with a little postage stamp dangle and some beads. Use some eyelash trim, and I have my little butterfly postage stamp card here that says Ephemera 2022 for days 7 and 8, because I have both my butterfly and my bear. So I hope you enjoyed this and you got some ideas, and maybe you'll give it a try with your tea bags now. And please like and subscribe if you haven't already. I would really appreciate that. And leave me a comment too, because I always love hearing from my subscribers. So thank you so much for watching. Happy crafting, and let the serendipity find you. Bye bye, everybody.